What is this piece of junk?
A vintage, that's what that is.
Okay, so we have to start off with this because this means a lot.
It sure does.
Look at that thing.
You betcha.
I mean, wow.
I actually haven't really looked at the photos on there.
Yeah, well, look
There's
at
a little bit of everything, right? Of course.
Yeah.
And in this particular flyer that they mentioned, we've got a good segue into what this one's all about. You got some buggies. Specifically in this one, we've got some four-wheel drive vintage buggies, or not so vintage buggies, or re-release, or back there. A lot going on. What's going on?
He's like back there, but this is the show winner from last year, okay? So he's like, oh, back there. With my trophy pile.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I was privileged enough to walk away with a few trophies last year, so.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Worked hard at it.
It's true, and you can tell. I get excited about the engineering marvels of these things, you know, and I really enjoy seeing you turn them into art as well.
Well, thank you. It's a good
It's
combination.
a thing I don't have, you know.
Yeah.
Like I struggle more to make them look all pretty and do the proper kind of coloring, and you know what I mean, so that the package is really complete. And you do so well with that.
Well, thank you. So yeah, we've got a few on the table here. We are just going through some of the stuff that we're getting ready for USTE, specifically the vintage four-wheel drive class, which is a nice addition to this USTE. Every time we've gone to USTE, they sort of added more to it. And one of the ones that we really have a lot of fun with is the vintage four-wheel drive buggy class.
So cool! I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can get into it this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yay!
So what do you got in front of us? What's going on here?
So one of my friends from just across the river here, he was moving, and he called me up and he said, I'm not taking these to my new house.
Oh.
I found these, they're way in the back kind of thing, and this old box of old buggy junk. And this thing is almost completely seized up Tamiya Bigwig, and I'm just so incredibly happy to rebuild this. This is going to be, oh man, I'm so happy.
I was never a really big fan of the Bigwig. I was more into the Hot Shot. I think of the same sort of chassis design. But up close, looking at this Bigwig with all the dust and everything, it's actually pretty impressive. It's a nice rig. I like it.
As far as Arresto goes, like the actual original body on this is not totally destroyed.
No.
So, I mean, this thing has a chance, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, get the dust off it, clean it up.
Yeah.
I think it would look pretty awesome.
You know what's so funny is the receiver on this thing. It's an old 27 mag receiver. It's as big as a 3-cell LiPo. Okay, the receiver.
There's actually, and it's got the vintage battery in it with these crappy Tamiya connects.
And it's the mechanical speed control, and it's the whole bit.
Oh,
I'm not really sure what direction I'm going to take it. I'll probably modernize it a bit.
I would think
just so it's a little more fun. And I had the boomerang, right?
Oh,
Way
okay.
back.
Yeah, of course.
So, one of the things I never liked about that buggy was that stupid lay-down single shock.
Sure, like the Hot Shot. Similar to the Hot Shot.
I don't know why that drove me crazy, but I was like, this is impossible to work, okay? We can't share this load.
Well, that's your background, right? That's your
I know, I just can't,
and drive
I can't handle that. Like,
yeah.
that's just, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And I thought the whole time, even as a youngster, I thought on the boomerang, I was like, we got to get this fixed somehow. I don't know how we're going to fix this, but... And of course, then they come out with these other different buggy designs, right? They share a lot of the same geometry and parts and chassis sometimes and whatever. But finally, I got one to work on that has 4 damn shocks.
Isn't that nice? So yeah, I can see some obvious differences.
Yeah.
You've got these shock towers on the
Yeah.
Bigwig. There seems to be a tub that's a little bit different than the Hot Shot. It looks like all you have to do is put the screws on in the back here, and your shock towers are mint again. So that's an easy fix.
I don't know. I haven't really spent much time looking at it, but I kind of get the impression by where it's at that something went wrong, and they maybe thought of thinking about fixing it, maybe, and then never did, and just kind of in the box, you know?
You know, I've never. You know, what's interesting that I'm looking at is if you look at where it's designed, it looks like there's an intake here, right? And so perhaps the engine was in the back of this. I have no idea, but even if I look at this, it's got some scale exhausts.
I know.
And I don't know if that looks like valve covers to me.
Oh, it totally does. It's a V8
But
of
I
some
had
kind.
no idea back then that even then they were kind of thinking of some scale. If you look at that, I'll pop it up. It almost looks like some valve covers there.
It's 100%
And
valve covers.
and then the exhaust, which
Oh,
is,
yeah.
you know, of course we're all about scale, and I'm just picking up a little bit of, you know, some cues of you know, some realism to it. So that's interesting.
You know what this makes me want to do, eh?
Yeah, you're gonna put
I had an idea.
Put a whole, you know, it's sort of 3D printed motor back there. What's your where's your head going? I like when he gets into his face. He's like,
I'm thinking,
gets excited.
If any vehicle that I ever worked on needed a smoker kit, it was this one.
Oh, wouldn't that be neat, eh?
Because it's got the two giant pipes out the back,
That
and you're
would be
going to
cool.
spend the whole time just floored anyway, so it should be just pouring it out. Like, you know what I mean?
That'd be a cool idea. And you probably
Wouldn't it
have
be
the
neat?
space on. Well, it would be quite a cram to get it in there, but it would be a neat
Well,
idea.
You say that, but I mean, look at how much space the damn receiver takes up, okay?
Sure, of
Like, I
course.
mean, we're putting in new electronics and things. I'm going
Put
to
in a lipo in there that's half the size.
yeah, so I think the tub's going to be empty
So-
by the time we're done.
So your challenge is to get this up and running for USD.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
fast approaching now. It's only, what, 3 months now? So
It's not far, yeah.
No.
So, but the good news is there's a whole buggy,
Right.
right? That's a pretty good start.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'm sure there's some bits and pieces I'll have to change. I can already see one of the knuckles on this side is just about to blow itself off, where the turnbuckle screw goes in.
Did they not re-release this too? So there might be like easy
Did
parts
they?
to get. I believe they did, or they're about to. So you could probably pick up some parts, no problem, off of eBay or wherever because of the re-release, which would be nice. And looking
Can
at
you
it,
tell me, are they actually the same
from
for the re-release? Because like, if the kit is $150 or something, I don't know how much is the kit going to be.
I have no idea.
Is it worth it? If the parts are the same, is it worth it just to buy the whole kit and
Right.
then have spares
Right.
for everything,
Right.
steal a few pieces when you need them? I mean, maybe that's a better deal.
I agree with you. I'd probably want to restore this and put it up on a shelf and then buy the re and then bash that.
I see.
However, I believe that they're that close. I mean, I've done some re-res with Tamiya, as you probably know, and
Okay.
they have taken most of what the vintage concept is and reproduced it. I think they've updated the plastics and the shocks here and there, and of course the electronics, but for the most part, it is virtually or almost identical with a few updated changes, ball bearings, that kind of thing.
I'm amazed at how good condition this is.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually really good. Get a new sticker kit for that, clean it up,
man.
we'd be off to the races.
Ah.
Literally.
Nice one.
Of course, you've got the Magnum Sport behind you too, which is another vintage radio. Of course, one of the first sort of pistol grip controllers, which I
Yeah.
really like. You know, that just brings me back. I remember my Christmas getting all this and enjoying it. So this is a nice down memory lane.
Wow, man.
You bet.
I haven't had one of these in my hand for a long time.
Of course, this is. Oh, I wonder if it's in the box because I lost mine. Of course,
The cover?
Yeah, that seems to go. But
Well, judging by the condition of that battery pack, it probably exploded and the cover blew off somewhere in the box. I mean, those batteries are friggin' disgusting.
with this came some interesting sort of paraphernalia that came with the propaganda, if you want to call it, which is just awesome. Just some of the lists of RCs and models that way back in the when. I don't know how old this kit is. You know, is this someone bought this in the 80s? Is this early 90s? I'm not sure, but
This is an old kit.
There's some pretty cool vintage buggies on here. I think this is the same thing.
Here's something that every company should do for advertising. Every single one of these cars they're advertising is in action.
Yeah,
You see that?
it's true. They are.
Look, like a Wild Willie that's literally doing a wheelie. I mean, that is the way to advertise your product right there. Go Tamiya.
This is awesome.
Woo!
Yeah, there's some really good. There's some really good vehicles in this. Of course,
Man, oh man, that's so cool.
there's the Porsche 959. The Celica. I mean, those things are just mint. And then there's a
Hey.
whole bunch of other awesomeness.
There's a boomerang with that hideous front shock.
Here's the Bigwig. Bigwig, of course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right next to the boomerang.
See how fast it's supposed to go? You can tell by the picture.
So, of course, all of these companies are doing re-release, and I managed to pick up one of the biggest competitors back then in the day that sort of was competing against the Tamiyas and the Associateds of the world and the RC10s and all that.
The little guy.
And this was, I got the Schumacher CAT. This is a re-release, but this was, again, competing in the 80s. I think 87 world champion. So this is going to be what I'm going to be building for USTE this year. I'm really excited to pick this up. It's a little bit different. It's a little less mainstream. It's got some pretty trick stuff to it. And
you can tell he's trying to win again, eh?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of throwing it out there. I think last year I was talking to Rob and Nick and sort of challenged them. I don't think actually Rob raced. He was too busy. But Nick raced and he kicked my ass. But anyways, I still throwing it down there. Nick, Barbara, if you're listening, this is coming at you. So I can't wait to see your build because we're going to compete. And this year I hope to win. Of course, Krieger and I raced too.
Oh, yes.
I think he beat me 3 out of 4.
He's dirty, though. He drives over you and stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty... Well, he's got some talent, too, but...
Anyways. Do you call aggression talent?
So, of course, with this, I needed to come up with a theme or a concept. I wanted to sort of do something different than other than the box art.
So, the winner from last year, you themed it with the trailer and then with the... XJ Jeep that was pulling it.
Right.
It was the whole package deal.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. This was one with the Blazer.
Oh, that was on the Blazer. Yeah, that's
right. This year was the Blazer with that, and that was the theme, right?
Yeah.
So this year, I don't know. I wasn't sure which direction to go, but I managed to pick up a decal kit, and I got to show you this decal kit, which is I'm really excited about. So the company is Mass Stamper, and they are really into the scene of the help me out here, the Tamiya, little Tamiyas that race in a track.
They're on rollers. They got roller bearings on them, and you just friggin' pin it and.
So yeah, they're a big company in that sort of genre of the RC world, but they dabbled in some swag and they dabbled in some decals for RC10 vehicles, and so I managed to pick up a set of these, and again, it just throws me back to 1987, with these decal kits. I really enjoy the blockhead motors, specifically in this decal kit.
Very nice.
It's got a turtle on it, but that could, the Frogger, the Hornet, it's a big tie-in to back then. So if you look at the color, I wanted to sort of come up with that color scheme and put it on here.
That is gorgeous.
One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to replicate the paint scheme, so the design of the paint scheme, but I'm going to use the colors for that, and I think that's going to just pop. So of course Tamiya offers all kinds of colors, so I managed to pick up the color scheme. Which I think will work out well. So I'm really looking forward to doing that as a USDE 2021 build for vintage 4-wheel drive buggy. That is going to be epic.
Wow. So
the challenge is for you guys to get out there and build something awesome, bring it to the show. This thing has got some really cool stuff. I'm really excited to build it. I will say I have opened it, and it is not what I was used to when it comes to... I'm used to like a Tamiya build when it comes to these buggies.
Okay.
And the way Tamiya presents the to you is amazing. Like,
it's like a whole showroom. You open it up and all the wheels are
Blister
all set up.
And so this is not quite as glamorous. It's kind of just bags on bags and bags, but so I'm going to be challenged to building this. It's it's a really different concept.
It's all labeled.
It's all labeled.
Yeah.
It you know what I mean? But it's just a little bit different than what I'm used to, but I'm really excited to do something different than other than Tamiya. So that's going to be a fun build. And Kyosho is very similar.
Well, they do a lot of that same packaging, presentation.
Right.
Yeah, the Kyoshos,
So what's going to go in this? I got this from Ben Jones. Ben, I really want to thank you for this motor. This was a motor that I had in my youth when I was a kid in one of my RC cars, and I loved it. It was just incredible. And so I managed to get another one from Ben Jones, so I really want to thank you. So it's the Trinity Horsepower 1987 World Champion, and it is super vintage. It just brings me back, and I just love it. So I'm excited to put it into this particular build.
Remember this?
Yeah.
We had to solder the capacitors onto the can so that the radio frequency wouldn't freak out when you hit the gas.
Exactly. So that's going to be the motor that's going to drive it. And correct me if I'm wrong, and there's a lot of experts out there, but this car was the 1987 World Champion. I don't think it had this motor in it, but it's going to be a really good tie-in. So, I mean, I can't wait for February to sort of put this all together and see it out on the track. So it'll be a lot of fun.
So this is super stock monster horsepower. It's not timeable. The end bell is fixed. So they use cut brushes on it instead because you can't adjust the timing. So it's, oh man, every trick in the book.
Yeah,
right?
of course, yeah. So yeah, that's
oh wow.
Yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's on the bench. That's going to be part of my winter build series.
Nice.
I think we've got a few other things that we're excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
a little memory lane and new releases of vintage buggies right in front of us here.
So I'm going to start tearing this down and try to get it kind of to a place where I know where the mechanics are at.
Right.
And clean all the pieces, and maybe I need some parts. I better start looking for those.
You bet.
Yeah. And what are you going to do first? The paint scheme or the chassis? Or
I think I'm going to build it first,
Okay.
just to get a concept of what I'm building and how it's going to look. And once it's built, then I'll start. And that's typically how I do my builds. Well, no, I can't say that. I kind of go back and forth. Sometimes I start with the body. Sometimes I start with the chassis. It just depends. This is telling me build it and then paint it. So
yeah. So we're going to have to do like a follow-up in a
of course.
few weeks or something that has wherever you're at, wherever I'm at. I mean, mine will probably look like a giant box of parts by then. But
You'll probably have a brand new Bigwig sitting in front of them, re-release, and
I need to check that out.
Yeah.
I need to see. There's got to be somewhere I can look up to see if there's compatibility.
I would think so. I think they're that close. I think
Really, eh?
Yeah, I really do.
Okay.
I really do. I don't think they changed them much. They just like I said, bearings and a few modern plastics and maybe some new shocks. And other than that, it's the original.
Yeah, these shocks are horrible.
Yeah, for sure. But they're so iconic, eh? These big plastic bouncy yellow shocks from the 80s. They're great.
Wow.
Well, here we go. We're going to have some fun. What are you guys building? Are you guys specifically four-wheel drive buggies and that concept? What do you guys have out there? I'd love to see them in the comments. I'd love to see what you think of if anybody knows about mass damper. I'm sure buckets of people do. And is there any?
Now.
Yeah, and is there anybody that's done this or has this sticker kit out there? Because I'd love to see some ideas. So yeah, really enjoying it, having lots of fun.
What other old, vintage buggy companies were there? Wasn't there MRC back then?
There were, there was MRC, there was Nyko or whatever. They did a few. They were more toy grade, but I think they did a few.
Yeah, they did some higher end stuff.
Yeah, there were a few, but again, I was sold on getting the Tower Hobbies magazine back then, and it was filled with Associated, Tamiya, and Kyosho were sort of the predominant ones. So
For sure.
those are the ones I remember. But yeah, there was a bunch out there, and there's some oddballs for sure.
So if you've got an old vintage buggy that's not a CAT or a Tamiya, I want to see it.
Yeah.
Put your comments in the chat box there, because I want to know what you guys have for old buggies. I do know that there was MRC because I had one probably 10, 12 years ago, and I was trying desperately to find parts for it. And MRC is still a live acting company, so yes, you can get old bits for those.
Really, eh?
Yeah, I haven't heard of a re-release from them, but
I haven't heard it, but I'm sure more and more companies. It's very popular. I mean, we're of the age now where
Yeah.
we're, this is what's happening. So I can imagine more and more will be coming out.
you got to turn that around because the important stuff's on the back.
It was again a thoroughbred, right?
It's a setup sheet.
Yeah, they packaged it with a setup sheet so that you were designed to go racing with this. So
Yep.
you bet.
Cool project, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking
Nice.
forward to it.
Okay, well, I guess we better go troll Nick Barber and see what he's going to build now.
I like that idea.
We'll find out soon.
All right.
Thanks for watching, guys.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
Take care.